May I come in, sir?
Yes, please do.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're Mr. Ajay Jain. Ajay, I can see that you are basically from Rajasthan, Savai Madhopur. I can also see that you did your BTech from MNIT Allahabad.
Yes, sir.
That was in year 2014 BTech, Electronics and Communication Engineering.
Yes, sir.
And currently you are IRTS officer.
Yes, sir. Indian Railway.
Which batch is it?
Sir, it is last year 2017 batch.
So you recently joined service?
Yes, sir.
How many months?
It's already 3 months, sir.
3 months. You're still in training.
Yes, sir.
So you're not happy with the IRTS, or since you appeared before joining, so you thought that you should appear in the interview?
Sir, IRTs is a good service, and I found it also very good during the training period also. But if given a choice, IAS and IPS service preference will be better for me, as there is a more opportunity to work with the grassroots level, and which will increase my job satisfaction.
But almost all these things are available with IRTS also. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be trying to get into IAS. It's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong in trying for IAS. But be it IRTS or IAS, why exactly government service? You are basically, and why the civil services? You are trained engineer. You should actually be into technical services. Even if the government service is required, you should be in Indian engineering services rather than Indian civil services.
I think I agree with your point that it is engineering service is also good. But if we see the impact which I can see by my actions or my decisions, which will directly give me immense satisfaction, is the criteria, and further the job opportunity and the career prospect in the civil services is better than the engineering services.
Ajay, since you are already in service, you can probably advise us. Almost 70% of the candidates we are interviewing, they are engineers. Something is seriously wrong with our civil services development history, that engineers, rather than being into their core domain, get into civil services. It appears that civil services has taken disproportionate amount of power and influence as it should have in any democracy. What is your opinion?
Yes, sir. As you have already said, that more than 70% are engineers. So maybe the reason that the career opportunities which is available in the country for the engineers is not as much as good as compared to the it should be. But in like we see in the computer science domain, there is a very good career opportunity. So the computer science engineers are coming lesser in the this civil services area as compared to the other engineering domains like electrical or electronics. That's because we don't have the research or innovation and the better career prospect or opportunities in the India itself. So the people try to move towards Indian engineering service or Indian administrative service or these civil services. So preparing for engineering services again then a big task, because there are very limited seats. So then the student starts preparing for the civil service because there are more chances and more number of seats there.
Here with IRTS, railways, what is the rationale of in 2019 a government running trains? I mean, government should. It's not government's business to run trains, don't you think?
Yes, sir. We should start privatizing the different domains of the Indian Railways, like non-core areas, like medical facilities, school facilities, sanitation, and different things. Then slowly the infrastructure creation, like manufacturing or the laying of infrastructure, rolling stock, then which will attract the investment and technology in the Indian Railways. So, and government has started doing this, like we have dedicated freight corridor which is completely foreign funded also.
I was looking at your application form. It appears that while your father is a businessman, your mother stays at home and she's a homemaker. How come she still have that kind of income, annual income?
Sir, the annual income is two major sources. The first is the rental income, which we have. The building is in her name, So the rental income whichever comes is shown as his income. Second is the agriculture land is also with us. So the agriculture produce which we sold in the market is also taken as an income for her.
Thank you.
Ajay, who authored Asian drama? Who wrote the book Asian drama?
Sir, I am not aware.
Have you studied in your geography syllabus growth center? What is the concept?
Growth center is a geographical location where the particular sector or particular sector of economy grows, and it attracts all the investment, technologies, labor, and therefore it becomes a growth center in a region, and which has a polarizing effect, and therefore it leads to a development of that area.
And how growth pole is different from growth center?
Growth pole is basically in economic domain, whereas growth center is geographical center. So growth pole, like if we are developing whether software industry or something else, or where to develop is growth center.
What is the spread effect and what is backwash effect?
Backwash effect is because of the some initial inertia or the government policy or support, all the investment and technology and the sources are attracted towards a particular area. That is backwash effect, because it backwashes all kind of resources. And spread effect is once it is developed, then it spreads its effect towards the area slowly.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
What is the design of National Investment and Manufacturing Zone?
Sir, it is a large area in which manufacturing is to be promoted, and state-of-art infrastructure is provided by the government so that their so that there is a ease of doing business, and at the same time, because of shared infrastructure, cost of manufacturing also decreases, and so it is based on the concept of agglomeration of economies and economy of scale.
So is there any only manufacturing zone within NIMS, or some other zones are created?
So that is I am not aware. I will read about this.
Okay, our trade with China is in a huge deficit.
Yes.
Why we are so liberal to Chinese goods and importing liberally?
Sir, if we see the composition of the trade with China, the electronic products, so electronic products which we do not have the proper capacity to meet the domestic demand, so we have to import these Chinese products. Then because of this, if we do not import the Chinese product, then it will impact our economy also. Like if we do not import the electronic product, then it will be more costly to our people. So if rickshaw puller will not be able to have a mobile phone with him if we do not import, so that's why we are importing.
In year 2013-14, our export was $314 billion, and we have never touched this data after that. It has been low, much below this. Even this year, it is likely to just touch this $314 billion. So after 5 years, our growth rate of export would be 0%. Why export is so subdued in India in last 4-5 years?
Our major export is oil, petroleum and oil, and from 2013 to 2018, the prices of oil has decreased. So from the value is value, if we see the value, total value, so it is decreased because of this, because of the price of oil prices decrease. Second is the overall slowdown in the global economy, which is leading to the slow demand of the.
No, American economy is growing faster since 2013-14. It is having highest employment ratio, highest growth rate. European economy is also recovered.
But they have restricted some of our export item by increasing the import duties or custom duties.
So they are using protectionist policies against Indian goods?
Yes, sir.
So why we are so liberal to Western countries and China? Are we maintaining a good progressive foreign policy, or we are under subdued pressure?
There are some issues with our foreign trade policy also. If we import the raw material, there is a higher inverted duty structure problem is there with our export policy. So the finished product is attracting less.
So why after so much reminders government has not corrected the policy?
So, if we import the government is, I think, is working on it. So maybe in future.
It's pretty long time it's working. Okay, thank you.
So Ajay, how does Rajasthan's geography impact its climate?
Presence of Aravalli Fold Mountains in the midst of Rajasthan. Because of this, the Arabian branch of monsoon goes parallel to it, and it does not rain in the western part of the Rajasthan, which makes it the desertification, which leads to desertification in the western Rajasthan. Then, because of the Mahi and Sabarmati valleys in the western part, the Arabian Sea branch comes through that, and it attracts, it has orographic effect because of fold mountains, and will lead to rain in the southern part of the Rajasthan, which is one of the largest in Rajasthan. Then if the location of Rajasthan is a tropical country, so because of this the temperature is high, which is also the part of climate. The plain area in the Rajasthan, which leads to the low winds, is there in Rajasthan. So these are the some geographical factor which leads to the change in affect the climate of the Rajasthan.
Okay, and India is pursuing interlinking of rivers. Is that a good step from environmental point of view?
From environmental point of view, it is not a very good step, and we should promote interlinking of river only at the smallest possible level, like Ken-Betwa river is linked. So large scale interlinking should be avoided because it has so much economic, environmental, social, and there are many other costs of the interlinking of these rivers. So
I thought there were economic benefits to linking rivers. What are the economic costs of linking rivers?
So, first is the cost of making infrastructure, like canal has to be made, lift irrigation is to be there. Then the land which will be submerged because of the interlinking of river, so land resource will be submerged. Then there are coal areas and forest area which has economic values also for the country, which will also be economic cost for the country.
Maybe also rehabilitating the people
Yes.
who will be displaced, right? And what is climate smart agriculture?
Climate smart agriculture is first is without impacting the environment, increasing the productivity of the crops which we are growing is the climate smart agriculture.
And the magnetic pole of the earth also shifted. Does it cause any day-to-day changes in the day-to-day life of people?
Our compass are settled with the particular direction, and our geographical like coordinates, our Google Maps are based on these compass. So if there is a shifting of the magnetic pole, it will have impact on these coordinates also, finding the map correctly.
Okay. And the government recently came out with a national electronics policy. Can you tell me some important features of that?
The target is that to improve the manufacturing of $400 billion by 2025 and generating 10 million jobs by 2025, and for which interest subsidy of up to 4% is given up to the investment of 1000 crore, and then special clusters are also the features of the policy where the electronics manufacturing companies could come together and have economy of scale. So these are some features.
Okay. And when it comes to, you were talking about jobs, the unemployment has been in a lot of controversy, figures related to unemployment. So first there is that the unemployment is at an all-time high, and then there is an other alternate controversy with there being accusations that the government is not disclosing data. And that is, could you see that as a potentially political move by the government, that prior to elections they are not releasing data because it could be a detrimental, say, image?
There are some, then like Niti Aayog has pointed out that there are some methodological problems in data also, which needs to be corrected, then only it should be published, and it may have some political issue also mixed with.
Okay. You were associated with an NGO. So there is always this, again, allegations that foreign agencies try to influence domestic policies in India via these NGOs. How true do you think that is? And the other alternate scenario is that these are just, say, fake news or fake rumors to potentially suppress NGOs which are working against the government.
There are both fake news, and both the concern is also like IB has published a report in which it said that around 1 to 2% of GDP is impacted because of the NGO who are working against the interest of the India. So there both fake news is also there.
Well, Ajay, what is difference between NGO and voluntary organization?
Voluntary organization is a broader terms in which the people comes together and voluntarily start some kind of association, whereas there are a number of types of association like non-government organization, trade unions, pressure groups. So voluntary organization are broader terms.
So it means that NGO is something which is part of voluntary organization. Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many NGOs are there in our country?
Sir, around 33 lakh.
Around 33 lakh. Mushrooming of NGOs in India indicate that the function, the one that they are supposed to do, but they are actually trying to make some self-interest, and in that way they are going on materialistic path. So what changes, if you are given a chance to bring, what changes will you bring?
So we have to start the regulation of the NGOs. So we by have a full proof registration. What are their objectives? Their annual report should be submitted to the concerning ministries. Their income tax returns, annual income tax returns should also be submitted to the income tax department, where we should analyze where they have used this money.
Give some innovative ideas. These things are already present.
We need to influence. We have to have a social accountability of these NGOs also. So for that we can start the concept. We can extend the concept of social audit to the NGOs, that they start using feedback mechanism from the beneficiaries, and these feedbacks should be done by third party, and they can give the rating like whether services of NGOs or the money they have spent are spent in their interest or not. So these ratings could be submitted to the ministry, and then we can rate these NGOs. So there will be a competition between these NGOs to get more rating, so that the more finance and more support they get.
Should we motivate more and more NGOs in railways to provide better services?
Railway is a specific organization, and where the services are very specific, and we should start taking the money from these kinds of association, and then we can give the services to the passengers more effectively, because if all the NGOs are working across the country, and there will be a
I couldn't get your point. Do you want to say that we need to take money from NGOs?
Not from NGOs, other philanthropic or CSR activities.
They themselves work on the funding of the people. Well, what is a region? What is called a region? You are a student of geography.
Yes,
and I think
region is a place which has a boundary. So if there is some kind of boundary, then in that boundary, that place can be called as a region.
I mean, boundary means what? Some physical boundary, or?
Yes, a physical boundary.
Then what is called regionalism?
There are two kind of study in geography: regionalism and systematic geography. So in regionalism, all the phenomena are being studied, phenomena are studied within a region, and in systematic geography, same phenomena is studied across the world.
Is it a positive or negative term?
So when it was studied, it was a negative term, but now the dichotomy is being settled. and now it is has like regional synthesis is now the positive word. Earlier it was regionalism is a negative.
Okay, give me 3 positive dimensions of the same.
First is within a region the various phenomena are more interrelated with each other. So therefore we have a better analysis of all the phenomena in the region. Second, with the proper analysis we can have a different solution for different regions. Like for desert region is a geographical region, and if we have all kind of interrelated issues there, then we can have a better solutions there. And third is
Okay, thank you very much.
thanks.
Ajay, who are Girmitias?
So I am not sure about it, but if you allow, I can guess.
Please go ahead.
Sir, Girmitias, like in the Girmit Act was passed by the Britishers, and the indentured labor who migrated outside the
To
India.
which countries these laborers were sent?
Largely Southeast Asian countries and African countries also.
And what is this origin of this word Girmitias? It is like a corruption of a English word. Do you know which word?
Sorry, sir, I don't know.
Okay. What is Arab Spring?
Arab Spring is a political agitation in the Middle East area for democratizing the political institution there.
Is it still going on, or it has ended?
It is still going on in some of the countries.
Okay, and it started from which country?
It is started from Tunisia.
From Tunisia. Okay. There was this recently a movement in France called Yellow Vest. So what was its objective?
Sorry, sir, I haven't followed it too much.
Okay. Who all comes under this term Indian diaspora?
The person of Indian origin, then non-resident Indians, and all the other people residing outside the India comes under the definition of Indian diaspora.
Why is it important for India to like cater to the sentiments of Indian diaspora?
Indian diaspora are very important asset for the Indian foreign policy. They have they will invest in our economy. They will transfer the technologies there. They will influence the domestic government to pursue the Indian interests, like it is done in the Civil Nuclear Deal 2005 also. Then so these are the benefits from the Indian diaspora.
Okay, Ajay. Tell me, like this section 124A of IPC, it is always in news. Many people say that it is a colonial law and it should be abolished now that India is a free country. What is your opinion?
In this sedition laws, Supreme Court has clearly mentioned that sedition should be amount only when there is a incitement to violence incitement to the violence in the and it impacting the public order, then only the sedition could be implemented. So,
but the police is very cavalier in applying this law. They apply to anybody.
For this, we need to have a procedural reforms, and whosoever is being.
What is your opinion? It should be removed from the statute books, or like it should be kept?
It should be kept, but in a very reformed manner, so that it is not hampering the freedom of speech and expression of the citizen of the country.
You also follow badminton.
Yes, sir.
So there has been resurgence of badminton and very good players coming up both in males and females. So can you give me the factors responsible for this resurgence?
So, it could be said that the personal attention given by the Mr. Gopi Chand, who started the private badminton academy in the Hyderabad, which produced the number of players like Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu, which became a role model for all over the country, and that's why the people have started. That's why there is a resurgence of the badminton. Once they have won till the Olympics, so which has created a wave in the country. Then there is a coaching facilities and badminton infrastructure is also improved across the country. So these are some of the factors.
How much is the role of money or the corporate sponsorship in the development of any game?
Sir, initial infrastructure creation, marketing, then to broadcasting these all the events which leads to popularization of the sports. So the corporate plays a critical role for the popularization of the sports.
But the corporate money would come after a very stellar performance in international events, or it will come before such a performance?
It always comes after the international.
So one cannot depend on it for development of a game.
Yes, sir. If we government can pursue some corporates like we have done in the Kabaddi. Kabaddi is not a very international popular game, but with the start of the Kabaddi Premier League, corporate is also earning, and the culture of Kabaddi is also improved.
Thank you, Ajay.
Thank you.
Ajay, you're basically a Jain, a minority. Tell me how your belief in Jain values and your being part of the Jain community can help in civil services when you get into civil services, mainly IAS.
So the main principle which the Jain follows is the principle of non-violence. So being Jain, we follow the minimalistic life which can be followed by so it will keep myself down to earth, because I will be following the minimalistic life by following the principle of Jainism. Second, the principle of truth and principle of non-stealing will keep myself corrupt free, and I will be more honest towards my profession, for which I am being recruited.
If you're an IAS officer and suppose you're given a chance for being a chief administrator for something like meat export promotion thing, how will you handle this dichotomy? How will you be able to perform a job which is against the values you carry?
So, it is there is a conflict of personal belief and public interest. So wherever there is a conflict between this, I will choose the public interest.
So you'll end up promoting meat in the public, but when you go back home, you'll stop your own kids the very same thing which you are otherwise promoting.
Yes, sir. I will do so, because it is my personal belief, and in publicly it is my duty to promote or to support the industry.
That will be a very schizophrenic personality, isn't it?
It will depend on how I handle, because I have to balance this dichotomy.
Okay, Ajay, it was very nice talking to you.
Thank
you can
you,
leave
sir.
now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Come, Ajay, please sit down. So how was it?
Sir, it was a very nice interview.
So do you believe that you're doing well, or there are areas you believe?
No, I need to improve in some areas.
See, our understanding is that your interview is really good, considering that you already are in service. Your personality is very good. Generally your communication parameters are good. You're sitting well. Your voice level is good. Your flow is the only area where I believe that you can probably improve. Sometimes you, I won't say fumble, but sometimes the flow is not as smooth as it is in the other part of the interview. So probably you can work on that, but otherwise communication wise things are going well if we leave the flow part. Also, sometimes I believe, see, yours is going to be interesting in the sense that you already know that you are maybe applying for 2-3 services, not more than that. You're already in service. You know a fair component of your interview is going to be on your current work profile thing. So the railways and both the history, administration and other things. So this is an advantageous position, because you already know that around 20 to 40% of your interview will be on on the area which you already know. So you can prepare well. But at the same time, there's no point giving an average interview at all, because after all, you did only the 2-3 services. So it should be either 190 or nothing. So it hardly matters. So in my opinion, please work on the smaller things rather than the glaring things, because glaring things you already know, you have already appeared, you know what are the areas, and you're prepared, more or less you're prepared well. So do work on the minute things. How you deliver your answer is the thing I want you to work on. Sometimes it appears that you leave a lot to the listener to find out what the correct answer is, rather than you placing the answer in the first or second sentence itself. You're getting what I'm saying? I'm not saying you don't know the answer. I'm not saying you're not delivering the answer. But the way you're delivering is that you're leaving a lot on the listener to find out what is the right answer in it, rather than you actually putting it. It was especially glaring when you were discussing with sir on the issues of regionalism and things like that. It should have been in the first or second sentence directly, right? Otherwise, everything is in order. I don't see anything glaringly wrong in your interview. The only thing is that I'm not looking for any average interview in your case. There's no point looking for an average interview in your case. How is your mains this time?
It was good, sir.
Better than last time?
Better. But the geography optional has unpredictability.
Nice. How much was your marks last time in interview?
160, sir.
It should be better than 160 in my opinion. So these are the things you can probably work. Otherwise, you're doing really fine, right? All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.